I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, January the 16th. We had a cold start to the week and a fairly slow start to the markets. The board was completely closed, as was the stock market, because of MLK Day. And what do you know, we still had markets even though the board was closed. Like I told you, the market's what somebody's willing to pay, and we still had a lot of that going on Monday. But first, let's look at the weighted average on last week's fat cattle trade. They did have a little bit more trade on Friday that we didn't really know about, that wasn't reported handily there, but 93,300 head in the 5-area feeding region. That's a pretty good movement, really, and just getting kicked back off in full swing from the holiday weeks. But that's a pretty good show list clearance and good purchase there from the packers, albeit at lower prices. Your live steer weighted average ended up being 119.92, with most of all your sales at 120, but that 119.92 was down $1.69. Your dress trade was mostly 192, but the weighted average on steers ended up being 190.172, down $2.11 from the weighted average from the previous week. But like I said, just a frigid cold temperatures all through the Midwest and the plains and all over, and ice storms in North Texas and even down in South Texas. They'd already canceled the schools late Monday for Tuesday down in South Texas, and I was coming back from the Midwest from last week and over the weekend, and found several slick spots and jackknife trucks and things going on in northeast Oklahoma and all up and down through western Missouri, and just really bitter cold temperatures. Not a lot of moisture though, as we've seen all winter so far. We've seen really cold temperatures and not a whole lot of moisture, with the exception of the extreme north and up in the Great Lakes region. But look at some feeder markets. Your real-time index on Beef Market Central started the week out late Monday, ending down 40 cents from the end of last week at 144.93. Your markets were lower. Your big high volume Monday markets were lower, but that's not on top of last week's wreck. Your Monday markets had some catching up to do. They were lower last week, but they weren't nearly as much lower as your mid to late week sales. So just kind of catching up there, and I don't think we really lost any more ground. Oklahoma National Stockyards in Oklahoma City at 8,800 head. Feeder steers $2 to $6 lower. Feeder heifers from steady to $6 lower, with the full decline on the heavier weight heifers. Your calves were selling steady to $5 lower. Look at Joplin. I was in Joplin on Monday. I had a lighter run than what they expected, but I tell you what, they had a pretty measurable snowfall in Joplin there, and it was bitter cold, and the roads were kind of bad, and they don't do the best job of getting the roads clear. It seemed like the roads were clear, but the ramps were not clear, and that makes it tough, especially when you got a load, and it ended up being kind of a short sale, just 2,300 head. Feeders sold $2 to $6 lower, similar to Oklahoma City, and calves were steady to $3 lower. One market that we've just picked up in full swing on Cattle Market Central, and you'll be seeing their markets quoted here a whole lot more, is Russell, Iowa, and they've had a good sale there forever up in the southern Iowa parts there, and probably the biggest runs you see in the state of Iowa on a consistent basis is Russell. They had over 4,000 on Monday there. If you look at their market report on Cattle Market Central on the steers, you see the popular weights in the 6-weight category of steers. 662 head of steers averaged 651 at 159.73. 783 head of 7-weight steers averaged right at 750 at 146.69. And 566 head of 8-weight steers averaged 836 at 142.24 on the weighted average. Some individual quotes out western Nebraska, Tri-State Livestock in McCook, Nebraska, pretty high calf sale. 110 head of steer calves weighed 522 pounds at 190.50. And back at Russell, Iowa, an individual quote, Just before 2:30 in the afternoon, they sold a load of 657-pound steers at $165.75. That's your feeder flash for Tuesday.